Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
And what, Ānanda, is the perception of non-self? Here, having gone to the forest, to the foot of a tree, or to an empty hut, a bhikkhu reflects thus. The I is non-self. Forms are non-self. The ear is non-self. Sounds are non-self. The nose is non-self. Odors are non-self. The tongue is non-self. Tastes are non-self. The body is non-self. Tactile objects are non-self. The mind is non-self. Mental phenomena are non-self. Thus he dwells, contemplating non-self in these 6 internal and external sense bases. This is called the perception of non-self.
Thank you. So this is Girimananda Sutta, and we started last week. This is the part 2. And last time we discussed about the aggregates, how they are impermanent. Especially we focused on the form aggregate. And we talked about the 4 elements. And then the second one is feelings. Feelings, there are 3 types of feelings: pleasant feelings, unpleasant feelings, and neutral feelings. And same feelings that we talk about in general, the same in the aggregates. And we all feel this, experience this, the feelings, and they rise and fall. So they don't last. That's why they are impermanent. And they're not eternal. They always rise and fall. And perceptions also saññā. Perceptions also impermanent. Why? They don't last. They don't stay longer. And all these perceptions are from our previous experiences. It's not something spontaneous. What we have experienced through our 5 sensory experiences, sensory objects, and later we can recall them. And they are in the memory. And whenever we want, we can recall. So just imagine now when I describe this, you can recall your memory. Oh, this is perception. This is saññā. This is feeling. Because you have learned it before. You have that sense. And then you get that idea of perception and then listen this, and you build your memory again, rebuild it. Those who do not have this understanding on this practice, these teachings, it's new for them. And then they start to learn it now, and they will have same type of perception, so saññā, in the future whenever they listen this again and again. That's how it comes. And these saññā or perceptions are always popping in. They are related to your feelings and thoughts and everything. And then volitional formations or constructions. Mental constructions. We always construct, build, recondition, rebuild, and we make stories. We develop the stories. So that's what that's what happens in the meditation with these thoughts, because previous memories, previous experiences are popping in, and then we recondition them, rebuild them. So we recreate all these thoughts which call volitional formations or construction. And they can be beneficial or non-beneficial, useless or useful. It doesn't matter. They also rise and fall. They arise and pass. Nothing lasts. Also, the consciousness. Now, at the moment, you're conscious. You're being aware of. And you have the recognition. And consciousness arises with all the experiences. We can never experience anything without the consciousness. There's eye consciousness, ear consciousness, tongue consciousness, and nose consciousness, the body consciousness, and the mind consciousness. So all these 6 senses experience their objects through the consciousness. Unless there's a consciousness, there's no recognition, there's no experience. And the consciousness also is not permanent, it's a chain of process because it arises and passes. Even in this very moment, when you listen, these words which I'm releasing, they come through your ears and then you recognize it. That's why you have the reaction for it, because you suddenly reacted it to them. So that's how we recognize them. And then that processes them. The ear and the sound, and then the ear has the ability of recognizing it, and then the consciousness is awake, and then we experience it. It rises and falls. So these aggregates are impermanent, anicchā. They're subject to change. They rise and fall. But those who have clung to these aggregates, they can never depart from the suffering. They can never be free from suffering because these aggregates are the suffering. So that is a brief introduction for all of them. Then I will move to the part 2, which we just read here. And what Ānanda is the perception of non-self, anatta. The first one is anicchā. This is anatta. So anatta means which is not belong to me, or which is not in control of me, which is I cannot handle or I cannot control. It always not mine. Why? They always change and subject to change. So therefore, I cannot take them as non-self. Self, not non-self, is not self. And what those? The eyes. Changes. So it's not belong to me. And form or sights, it's not belong to me. Simply these internal and external sensory sense bases and the objects are not myself, and we cannot keep them as we want. See, sometimes the eyes can see what I don't want to see. Ears can hear what I don't want to hear. So, we cannot take them as a self or belong to me. I am not the owner of them. They are not in control of us. We cannot control. We can protect them actually. In one hand, by applying, by practicing, we can control over them. But according to the nature, they change. See now, as a child, we all had the ability of, we had the proper seeing and we proper eyes. We can see far away. But now, moving forward as adults, we need glasses. Even we cannot read very close things, right? Yeah. And sometimes we joke others when someone says that he or she cannot see clearly. We ask, can you see the sun or the moon? They say yes. Then so what else? So that means it's not the physical accept of the eyes is changing. That's a part of change or deterioration. And we need glasses. And then we having issues with hearing, right? It changes. If these sense bases are belong to me, or if they are myself, I should be able to control over them and keep them the same manner without changing. And in the other hand, what do you think that can I see my own eyes from my own eyes? Not from the mirror. Can I turn my eyes towards me and see me? No. There's no ability for that. That means anidassana. We cannot see this own eyes by its own eyes. There's no ability. So these internal sense bases are not mine, not myself, and external sense bases also, objects also, not myself. If these internal ones are not mine, what can I say about the external ones? They always change. They can't last, and they never stay with me. They always change. See how when they change, what we feel, what we experience. We being sorry about us. We feel so bad about us. And we feel sometimes angry. Oh, I cannot see, I cannot hear. And I'm so much worrying about it. But I don't have understanding then, oh, these are not belong to me. We are lack of with that wisdom. That's why we fight for it. When the external objects are changing, we complain. And we don't want them to change. But they change. When they change, we cannot tolerate it. We cannot accept. We are not ready to accept it. Then again, we suffer. So that's why Buddha advised this is a practice that we need to focus on anatta, which is non-self, which is not belong to me or myself. And that enhance our wisdom not to fight, not to attack with these experiences. So that's how it teaches. And this practice help us to develop the senses, to understand them properly, and which is directly related to anicca, because why they are non-self or cannot control over or cannot not belong to me, because they change. See, as they change frequently, I cannot keep them as permanent or as mine or myself. So that's the reason. And whenever we experience the senses, that means we generate or we create aggregates. Simply, what is this? Senses are non-self means aggregates also non-self. Because aggregates are creating through the senses. If these internal and external senses are non-self, is not belong to me, which means these aggregates also not belong to me. They also change. And they also subject to change, and they never last. So that's how it describes. That's a brief explanation for it. I do not want to go with one by one here because it repeats the same thing. If someone contemplates on these changes, and that person can develop or enhance or increase the wisdom, and that person will live happily with these changes without worrying, without crying, without suffering over them. They cannot control over that person because that person is wiser than others. That person has the wisdom than others. Okay, so I'll let you bring your concerns and comments, and I'm going to stop the screen sharing, and then we can start our conversation on it.
Yes, Bhante. I think you've covered a lot on the internal. Yeah. So when it comes to the external, you say that we cannot also control. So external here, are you referring to people, our environment, that sort of thing? Thank you.
Yes, so basically internal means myself, me, my own senses. And then external means everyone, everything. Like, so for you, I am external. You are internal. That's me. That's you. And this is me. And then to me, I am me. You are you. So it always consider in that way. Whatever belong to you, it is external to me. So why we see this internal external matters? Because whatever, if these are in non-self to me or subject to change, not belong to me, also whatever belong to you, it is not yours too. So that's what we focus on.
So can I just add on to that? So if because they don't belong to me, so therefore I shouldn't attach. Is that? I
Correct.
think that's what it's trying to tell us, right? So we shouldn't attach,
Yes.
to bodily senses, feelings, or whatever, as well as to the outside, because they're not in our control. So therefore, don't attach to them at all.
Yes, because we can attach, nothing wrong, but the thing is, we never get the freedom or we never be satisfied with them, and the suffering will continue. That's why we are advised to not to attach, not to attack. Attaching means the bottom line is we always attack to them.
Yeah. Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you.
All right, Bhante, I'd like to share about my experience on the odor, on the nose. Many years ago, I newly learned about vipassana on focusing on the external object. I walk into a very smelly toilet. It's very smelly. It's a men's toilet. So inside the toilet, a lot of foul smell, and it attacked to my nose. So what I did was I noticed on the smell, the mind is telling me it's smelly, but I keep noting the smell. And after a few noting about the smell, and it disappear, although I'm still inside the toilet, and it's just gone completely, and I don't smell anything at all. So after this experience, I try a few more times. The same thing happened whenever I walk into that smelly toilet. Okay, I just notice the smell and it just disappear. So that is my personal experience.
Thank you for sharing. So I had done the same thing long ago. That helps. Not the toilet, the outdoor, but it was helping me to control of it and not to fight for it. Because when we have eyes, we cannot stop seeing. We cannot stop hearing or smelling. They always come to us. What we can do is control ourselves, control over the senses without fighting for the external object. And let's say if we're going to search for that odor or the smell, where to find? So therefore, the advice is control oneself. And thank you for sharing it. Everyone can practice or try that. We all have these experiences daily.